that you've been to some fireplaces. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I had seen such riches, I could live with being poor. Oh, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down next to me. Sit down, 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 in sympathy.
So good evening, everyone. We have tonight Strasbourg Steve, Newcastle United fan, going to give his unbiased opinion on things, as that will change when we play Newcastle in the very near future. Northside, good to see you again, man. Haven't seen you for a while.
I know. I'm good. Thanks for having me on. How you been?
I'm fine, mate. I'm actually fine. Still a little bit annoyed about things at the weekend, but there you go. We'll get into that. And Kenny Ken, the legend that is, fact, reason, football guru, encyclopedia of football. How you doing, man?
I'm all good. Yeah, you know, it's been. I think everyone needs to sort of like stop thinking about what happened at the weekend in terms of referee controversies. Move on for it, and let's concentrate on the match tomorrow. I think that's bigger than that. It's gone now. You know, I'm sure it'll weave itself out, and I'm really looking forward to it. Mikel Arteta press conference. I tried watching it, and I realised why I never watch press conferences from managers, because you know only about 10% of them, the press conferences, is actually irrelevant to me anyway. The other 90% is just people just repeating the questions. Now, yeah, I'm tapping out with all that rubbish.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that one. Northside, I'll start with you, man. It's a shame at the moment we haven't got Mr Bee4Life, because a Brentford fan, get his opinion. How did you see that game on Saturday, mate?
For me, it's the same old problems that we've been speaking about. Before the January transfer window, we needed players to affect the game. We saw that the first game against Man United this season, we dropped points when we was getting pressed. We've seen against Newcastle, we dropped points in that game as well. And every time a team's coming up to battle against us and press our creative players, like Odegaard, like Saka, like Martinelli, there's no more creativity and we're unable to break teams down. And we didn't go in the January transfer window to address that. So, you know, it was no surprise that, you know, the Brentford manager changed up his tactics, which he's done against Man City this season, and adapts his system depending on who he's going to face. And if Thomas Frank, for me, is able to adapt depending on the opposition he's facing, why can't Arteta? Why is it that we can only play through the middle? Why is it that we can't play a different style of football? Why is it that he can't see that we need to stretch teams when it's too congested in the midfield? Why is it that we don't have a striker that we can hoof long balls into when we can't play little triangles and little pretty patterns of football? And that's what we saw, that there's no alternative to the little tiki-taka football. And I think it's no coincidence that Tottenham are the kryptonite to Man City, and Arteta, his kryptonite is teams that sit back and hit you on a counter as well. He learned his game under Pep, but the only thing for me he hasn't learned is being versatile. We've got versatility for players, but we don't have versatility for this manager. Why is it that we can't change it up? There are players there. He could play to a 4-2-3-1, just like Man United. We've got the players to play it. There's different systems that you can do that you, even within this shocking bench, you can utilize, but he chooses not to. So for me, another shocker. And I don't see it. I don't think we have the players on the bench to play a completely different style of football, but we can be playing counter-attacking football and surprise and give the opposition something to think about. I don't think Brentford would have expected us to hit them on the counter and sit back and allow them with the possession. You know, something different, Jez, but we didn't see that. Martinelli's playing. I don't understand on what merit. You know, I would be thinking that players are playing because you're playing good week in, week out.
You're in form.
Zinchenko can be out of form. Martinelli can be out of form, but they get selected. I thought there's not supposed to be any favourites. You know, especially when you've got rotation now. You've got Trossard. Trossard did well against Man United. Trossard's done well when he's come on, even against Everton. Why can't he start? Why does it have to be Martinelli? Why does Zinchenko have to start over Tierney? What's Tierney done wrong? And these are the things that needed to be answered, but we're not seeing the answer for it. Who's the rotation for Granit Xhaka when he starts reverting back to the Granit Xhaka of old? You know, Martin Odegaard, when he get impressed, he can't do anything. What, the solution is Fabio Vieira?
Who isn't ready yet for Premier League football. I'm a fan of Fabio Vieira because I like Portuguese football. I watch it, but it's too lightweight right now at the moment. And
But he wasn't even a starter for Porto. Even Porto,
exactly. Yeah,
he's not even a starter for Porto. And a lot of these fans call the French league a farmers' league. What's the Portuguese league? And the fact that you can't break into a starting 11 in one of the best teams in Portugal, what's that say about you? Are you Premier League proven? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I just there's got, obviously this channel's now getting such traction. We have professional footballers in it. Ivan Toney's joined us. Would you go? I'm going to come to you on this one, Kenny. Would you go with a low block against Man City and try the Spurs thing, or go toe to toe?
Well, the thing about Man City, it's not a case of us going toe to toe. So if Man City go toe to toe, because the simple reason is that one of the things we've experienced in the last few games, especially since we played Man United, is that teams have given us no space, including Man City in the FA. And one of the things we've also learned as well is that because you know, like I said, we haven't got certain personnel, and because our best players getting kind of pressed out of the game, what happens is that when the ball breaks, we're very weak down our left hand side of the defence, and also like not so clever down the right hand side. So if Man City play expansive football, that will open it up, and they probably would leave space for Martinelli, leave space for Saka. And to be honest, with the way Man City defend, they'd be absolute fools to play expansively against us, especially at our ground, because that would be mad to heaven for us if they play how teams have played before, knowing full well that we're a bit shaky at the back, especially with the inverted left back in Zinchenko, and also, you know, when we're very weak down that side with Martinelli, because he's, to a certain extent, Martinelli's having to come deep because he's getting doubled over. On that turnover, with the pace of Walker, and you know, with the, you know, also like I said, pace coming through the middle, that's where they can win the game. Trust me, our best chance is if Man City try to play expansively. You know, a perfect Man City team selection is Lewis at right back. You know, Ake. You know, no De Bruyne. By all means, play this. You know, like I said, Bernardo Silva, play you know, Phil Foden, and by all means play good one. Play your weakest midfielders, i.e. physically, smallest players. We'll love that. We'll murder them. But they're not going to play like that. They're going to play sensibly because it's us, and that's where we got to have a kind of a plan B. That's why, you know, I understand where Northside's coming from in terms of team selection. You know, we have to look at the Martinelli situation, but we also have to look at, you know, maybe Zinchenko as well. The thing is, you think about all the players who are in form. There's more players out of form than they're in form. Partey is getting pressed out of the game. Xhaka, because Partey is getting pressed out of the game, isn't playing in a more advanced position. He's now, you know, less than effective. Odegaard's struggling. Martinelli's struggling. Benjamin White's struggling. So you look at, and Saliba's struggling as well. So, you know, my maths is terrible, but that's more than two players that we're kind of carrying. And it's another issue as well. In the first 15 minutes, when we are expansive, when we do play at such a frenetic pace, if we don't score in that first 15 minutes, we struggle afterwards, because teams, whether that's ball, they try and have a look at it, get into our midfield, and then on a turnover, they get bodies forward because they know they are, because, you know, they're finding space in between our players. Man United were able to do that, even though we overpowered them. Man City did it on certain occasions, but Everton, you know, it's a myth that Everton played a long ball. They didn't. They also played a bit of football and got down there, behind us. People don't want to acknowledge that because it's just sawn dice, but watch the game again, and let's not forget what Brentford did to us.
Yeah. I mean, Steve.
Yeah.
Oregon Gooner put a big statement in here as a neutral for the game.
Yeah.
How are you seeing it? Are we going to do them 3-1?
I think it might go the opposite way if I'm honest. But the keys to that, I could see it going 3-1. But one thing has to happen. You guys need to be aggressive straight off the bat, because the past few games we've seen Arsenal, it's not been their typical selves. You're at home. You're playing against Man City. This is do or die, for the title in some respects. Go out and show why you should be league champions. Go out and show all these doubters of Arteta and whatnot. They need to show something to your fans and whatnot, and to whoever they want to show that they deserve to be titles. And what they got to do is they got to take the game to the opponent. You're at home, and Man City's backline, Kenny Ken was talking about Arsenal's backline being a bit vulnerable. You could say the exact same about Manchester City. Say the exact same about them. When they play Aston Villa on Sunday, they first half they were pretty much flawless. I think second half Villa did have a few chances, and they showed that they could get in behind. So you gotta come flying out the gates. Be a bit reckless. I mean, this is, you'd rather lose 3-1 than just a 1-0 where you just sit back the whole game, right? I mean, that's all a football fan. Bare minimum. I'm talking bare minimum. I don't care what team you support, non-league, league, whoever, wherever in the world, is that your team tries, and that your team shows a bit of endeavor and a bit of grit between their teeth, and they show that they can actually fight and do something. So that's the approach I would go with, because Man City can be vulnerable defensively, and for me, the less Man City have the ball, the more, the less effective they can be. They can hit on the counter, and then Haaland, they can enable that skill that Haaland has off the counter. A lot of his goals for Borussia Dortmund were transition moments where, Marco Reus would have the ball, or Reina, and they would thread a beautiful ball through, and Haaland would just use that raw pace, bully guys off, and just slam in goal after goal after goal. Bit of it different at Manchester City, so that is one of the risks. But you know what? I mean, I think we could all agree. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think Man City will score anyways. So you're gonna have to score at least 2 to win, and the win should be the objective. So for me, go out the gates and be aggressive. And Kenny also said first 15 minutes are when Arsenal seem to be at their very best. So go with what works. It's not like I'm throwing out some suggestion that hasn't been tried before. So that's what I would do if I was Arteta. But maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will. Who the hell knows? That's just what I would do.
That's good comments, man. Good comments. Before I come to Northside, Pete's back. Phil Edwards, whatever your bleeding name is. Kenny, I was about to say, good for you for changing background. You've gone back to your millionaire's mansion fantasy. Stop calling people who are not stupid. Pete, you have got to be the thickest person I've ever met. You
Hi,
have
Peter.
got to be the thickest piece of shit I've ever met in my life. Seriously. Can you not actually see that it's a screenshot at the back? Honestly,
I think anyone with a brain, but like you said, this guy ain't.
That guy is such a deluded little prick, honestly. Jesus Christ.
It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see who he subscribes to, because I swear to God, he subscribes to channels where he's trying to create some sort of rivalry when, to be honest, there's no problems between us and the other channels at all. But maybe he feels that, that he feels loyal to the other channels by having a go at us.
It's funny, isn't it? Jez, we when we win tomorrow.
Shut up.
Yeah, okay, mate. Dream on. Northside. Let's get back to some sensible people that actually know about football. Actually can talk about football. Are you going with that? What we were talking about with Steve? I mean, do you see it that
Aggressive.
we're going to come out of that in a positive 3-1?
I think it really depends on how we look at the game. Because if we look at, like I said, playing a 4-2-3-1, we've got the personnel that can play there. And we're quite fast on the counter attack. So all we have to do is be very compact. And that is the way that Arteta actually started out his reign, making us very compact and then hitting on the break. We weren't always this flowing, possessive, style of football, which a lot of us, had a lot of question marks. And I think the balance is within both. And I think in this game, when you look at Spurs, I hate to say it, but them filhos da puta from down the road, they actually showed us what to do with Man City. When you press Kevin De Bruyne and stick 2-man on Kevin De Bruyne, he doesn't have the speed. I actually think he's slowing down. I actually think Kevin De Bruyne isn't that fast. I think he's got great vision. But I actually don't think Kevin De Bruyne is that fast. If you allow him the space and the time, he can pick the passes. We need to stop the supply to Haaland because we know if he drops in deep, he's not going to do anything. Press Kevin De Bruyne. Do not allow him to dictate play the way Thomas Partey wasn't able to dictate play against Brentford. Neither was Odegaard. Then when you look at Bernardo Silva against Aston Villa, the way Aston Villa actually scored the goal, they dispossessed Bernardo Silva. 2-man on him, pressed him, and they were able to break through that defense. Now, they were playing a back five. They had, obviously, the back three of Laporte, Diaz, and Walker, with Mahrez and Grealish dropping back. But Grealish, I don't think Grealish is super rapid, and neither is Mahrez. And I think both of them as well need space in behind. So if we leave ourselves compact, I can see why they were struggling to break down Tottenham. With space, I think Mahrez, will have some fun, and Grealish. But if we sit back like Tottenham did, I don't really see their fast runners. They used to have players like Sterling, Sane, really, really rapid players. I don't really think they have super rapid players. If we don't play the high line, then we won't expose ourselves. We already saw, our centre-back duo that let's be real, is a new pairing of Gabriel and Saliba. They haven't been playing together for long, and that's why we're not completely slaughtering them. We know partnerships take time. But at the same time, I just feel like if we frustrate them and press them when we need to press Bernardo and De Bruyne, and then hit them hard on the break and let them play a high line, I think we can actually get in behind and actually score. Yeah. We already know how to stop Haaland. De Bruyne, I've already said how we can stop him, 2-man on him. Bernardo Silva does not like to be pressed all game, and you can rough him up. He's a pretty small guy. What's he like, 5'7", 5'8"? He's not that tall of a guy. If you rough him up, okay, they're playing Gundogan up there as well. But Gundogan hasn't got the legs. If you press him as well, he ain't got the legs. So if Haaland ain't making the runs, Gundogan, if he can't, if you mark Haaland out the game, Gundogan ain't going to run past anyone. I think we should actually go out there and make ourselves hard to beat and hit them on a counter. I wouldn't begrudge Arteta at that because I think we've been too naive in playing a high line, allowing, not supporting Partey. You can see when Partey gets pressed, it's now a weakness. So we need somebody next to him that's going to help him. I know El Nene is injured. Maybe, I'm not sure what you're going to do because Granit Xhaka isn't great defensively and neither is Odegaard, and he plays a bit further forward. But we need somebody that's going to help Partey so that if he is getting pressed, he actually has someone that he can, rely on. I think against Brentford, he was exposed too much. And every time, yes, they were, running the midfield. But Everton and against Brentford, who was there to help him as well? We need to shore up that midfield. And I think we should go compact and go to, hitting them on the break. That's what I would do. I wouldn't open up. And I think if City open up, then we open up. We kind of manage the game. If they change up, then Arteta can change it up. But start it on the back foot, hitting them on the counter, because that's a tried and tested system against Pep's system that more times out or not, the worst case scenario, you're leaving with a draw. So why not? Yeah,
I'll go with that, man. I'll go with it. Before we go, I'm going to ask the same question to Kenny in a minute. Guna, thank you, mate, for your super chat. Very kind, my friend. I think we come out of our slump this game. I truly do. 3-1 is a bit of an exaggeration, but I think we'll see a better performance from the last two. We'll do our predictions at the end, but we'll see what happens. Kenny, you'll be at the game tomorrow night.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And how do you see it, mate? I mean, give us your option on how that game's going to go.
I think first thing we got to look at a team selection.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Mother Floozy. But in terms of like team selection, I can really see like him going with the same team, his first choice. But if I think it's a last chance saloon for quite a few players. So if you look at the team selection, you're going to see like Martinelli, you're going to see Ben White at right back, and and Eddie up front. Oh yeah, Zinchenko's definitely going to be playing. He's going to go with what he considers to be his first choice. But if there is a casualty in Man City, then I think what will happen is he will look again for the Villa game. But in terms of how Arsenal are going to play, they are going to try and play their game. But what they're going to do is that they're going to have to move the ball quicker. They're going to, in terms of like probably varying it, because what teams are recognising what Arsenal do, they're recognising that sometimes Partey, comes to take the ball off the defenders, and in other issues as well, he's everywhere. He's protecting Benjamin White because Ben White's not in the greatest of form, so he's going in there and covering spaces which he's leaving. So those areas where he's getting to Ben White's head, that he has to be very careful down those sides, because especially with Grealish, because what Arsenal don't want is Partey getting over to support Grealish, and then what's happened is that because he's trying to support Grealish, he's leaving spaces down the middle and also down the left hand side. So that's areas where it's going to be a last chance saloon players. Another thing as well is that he wants to move that ball a bit quicker, because he wants a situation where Martinelli, if you pass it into an area, Martinelli can run into it. You don't want to pass it to Martinelli's feet, because by the time you get to Martinelli's feet, Walker and Co are on him, and Mahrez will be on him as well. So again, those are the areas where we break. But again, it's those first 15 minutes, where if we score early, we put Man City in the pressure where whatever game plan they have, they can't change it. So those are the areas which we need to look at. But in saying that, just as Man City like to play down flanks, we should be doubling up on Man City. We should be doubling up on Mahrez. We should be doubling up on Grealish. We shouldn't be letting them anywhere near the byline and go like for like. Because you've got to remember one thing: we're the team in front with 3 points, and we're the one they've got a game in hand. If we get a point, we're still the front runners. Even if we drop points against Villa, if we win our game against Everton, we're the ones leading. So obviously we want to win every game and play expansively. But in terms of points going into that title, it's Man City that have got to take the initiative. But by Man City taking initiative, we want to be taking it away from them by getting an early goal. But the tempo of our game has to be really high. Has to be a lot higher. If you think about that game when we played them at New Year's Day last season, that the tempo we played at was really, really high. It was only a couple of decisions from Xhaka and Gabriel that cost us. But that is the template: is to keep Man City in the back, keep the tempo high. But there's a big but. Don't always go down that inverted route when we're playing. Be prepared that when Man City have the ball, we need Zinchenko in that left back position, because too many times when he's going inverted and the ball breaks quickly, and Man City are very good at winning the ball back within seconds of losing it. Man City have got all that sight to go down, and that's where we've got to do is protect, give Gabriel protection, because what will happen is that when we lose that way, the way Man City play, even if Haaland doesn't play, you're still going to have Alvarez, who's more than capable of getting those chances. In fact, Man City probably played better with an Alvarez type striker than they would with a Haaland, despite the fact he scored 25 goals. But what Haaland does really well this season is that he scored against what I call the teams outside the top six. He will score great goals against Southampton. All those 20, most of his goals. You look at most of his goals. How many times has he scored against? Yeah, he scored against Spurs, but against Man United, who are in some sort of coma. But apart from that, most of his 25 goals have come against teams outside the top 6.
Right.
So against teams in the top 6 who are going to have a go at City, especially when they're own ground, that's where Holland's still, struggling and getting to their shut into their like I said, into their style of play. So that's one thing we could take advantage of. But Zinchenko, when we don't have the ball, we need you down on the left-hand side, actually defending. Because what will happen is that if you play like you're doing a Man City turn us over, you're letting Kieran Tierney back in the team. Because changes we made, if they F up, promise you, come Villa, he's going to have to change it.
Yeah, totally agree, Kenny. Totally agree. Before I get back into Mr. B's here, just going to say, people, there's 64 people watching, only 48 likes. What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on, smash those likes up,
Get those likes up for Jez. He's a legend. Come on, everyone. Get him up.
Come on, people.
Daniel says, Jez, would you invite Turkish to your shows? Yes, I would, mate. But he wouldn't come on because he's a different level.
He's a real one, though. Total real one.
Yeah, he is. But, he wouldn't come on here, mate, because it's never going to happen. Mr. B4Life, welcome, man.
Yeah, that's right, mate. I'm cool again, glad to be here. Sorry I'm late, by the way, but lateness is greatness, So, as a great man once said, lateness is greatness. So,
yeah, that's facts. That is fact. Mate, give me a breakdown of the game on Saturday.
Well, obviously VAR had a big hand in it all again, as we all know. But, it worked out for some of us and some of us it didn't. Let's put it that way. I mean, we could have probably had loads of goals, really, couldn't we? We stung your ass, to bits, basically. But, we should have, could have at least about 5, something like that, And, I mean, we had a goal disallowed as well. So, what was it? It wasn't even a foul on Gabriel, was it? He just slipped.
No one's talking about that, though.
And yeah, I know, man. Yeah. Oh, was it a goal that shouldn't have stood? Is that what you're talking about? The Tony one?
Yeah, the Gabrielle thing you were just talking about.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, let's be honest. I'll come to you on this one, Northside. Arsenal, realistically, could have been 3-0 down at half time. If it hadn't been for the goal disallowed, that's debatable. But if Brentford had better scoring, we'd have been 3-0 down. And we'd be looking at this game tomorrow night in a totally different perspective. What's your view, mate?
Jez, this is why I did a video the other day about are Arsenal VAR victims? I started, this is what the fan base want to be, VAR victims. VAR's against us. It's like, why is it that this fan base are so selective with where they put responsibility and accountability towards? I don't see this kind of accountability towards Martin Keown that made his name at this club, being a legend and winning major honours. And they're telling us that, it's because of VAR. And VAR's a disgrace, instead of actually calling out the players and the manager that could have affected that game to actually get the points. Yeah. I don't see the accountability for the ownership. I don't see the accountability for Edu that's letting down Arteta, that's got us in this position that nobody expected us to get into at the start of the season. So why is it that who makes some of these Arsenal fans, who makes the rules? So the fans like us that demand more, they want to hold us accountable. VAR held accountable. Referees held accountable. What about the players that are actually on the pitch? Because whether the tactics are going right or wrong, you can still bust a gut and give 110% for that shirt. With the manager, you've decided that, it's okay. We've got Jorginho that can come in and do a job, and we're getting Kivior that nobody's seen. And then we got Trossard and business is done. Yeah? So you've been happy with this squad. You're the one that got in Fabio Vieira. You're the one that brought in players like Lokonga that now out on loan. These have been your decisions. If you don't have the players on the bench to have a plan B or to affect the game in a different way or play a different style of football, Well, then don't come out and say that you're happy with the team. And then, you know, every time we're coming up against teams that press us, you have no answers. Where's the accountability in that? But Arsenal fans are more concerned about what is the excuse? Is it Project Youth? Is it we can't compete with oil-rich teams? Is it VAR's against us, referees against us? I want to ask a lot of these Arsenal fans that come out with this bucaria, yeah? Are you outraged when VAR goes against Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea? Or is it just when it's Arsenal? Because you're either for the cause of better refereeing or you're not. Otherwise, to me, it's very selective. For me, I'm outraged and I never banter teams that get wrong VAR decisions. But let's keep it real. Kenny and Jez, we knew football before VAR. Referees have always, you know, there's never been perfect refereeing in football. There's always been decisions that gone against you or for you in football. Yep. There's never been a perfect system. It's always happened. But at the end of the day, one thing you can control is your performance, the expectation and the demand on the club and the demand on the manager. So why don't we focus more on that instead of just excuses? Because I tell you what, Martin Keown and Ian Wright coming out here talking absolute bull crap. Yeah, I tell you what, I bet in your era, no one went in the changing room and was saying, "Oh, don't worry, it's a free hit." Oh, don't worry, it's a Project Youth. Oh, don't worry, we can't compete with Man United because they're the richest team in the league and we can't compete because financially we can't compete. There weren't none of them excuses now. So why are you saying it now? Because you want to be popular with what most of the Arsenal fans want to say. You don't want to say it as it is. And I'm sick and tired of it. It's not just the players. We are small compared to, you know, the influences of ex-players, pundits, you know, all these people around the club that are affiliated to the club. They could use their voice for better, but all they do is fuel all these new Arsenal fans that love to be losers. And I'm sick of it, Jez. Honestly, I'm sick of it.
I'll tell you, mate, look, listen. Northside, you've just said everything that I've been thinking for a very, very long time. It's excuse. Let's look for an excuse for failure. It's embarrassing.
Northside's 100% there, man. He is 100%.
Absolute facts. Steve, as a neutral, I always like your opinion because you do stay as a neutral. Now, I respect you for that.
Yeah.
How are you seeing this VAR and the excuses that are being brought out by fans that VAR? I mean, this conspiracy. Arsenal Football Club. I mean, this is absolute bullshit. I'm sorry, it happens to every club. Yeah, it's How are you seeing it, mate?
It don't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we like Mr Bee4Life said, one of their Brentford goals should have stood because the Gabriel foul was. I didn't think it was a foul, but no one's talking about that. Arsenal fans weren't talking about how outraged they were that goal didn't stood for the good of the game. No, it's typical fan biased behavior. I expect it, but the other thing is I don't understand why people are freaking out so much. What's new? The refs make crazy and incompetent decisions all the time.
Yep. It's
nothing new. Why even get upset about it anymore? You know, Newcastle have had decisions go in favor for them, like away to Man United. They probably should add 2 penalties. Against Arsenal, there was a call for a penalty. We got 0-0 in the game. I'm going to move on with life. It is what it is. And then there was the Palace game where, you know, Joe Willock got shoved over into the goal and it was a foul on him somehow. So, like, it was a BS decision, but I didn't spend my whole day talking about this is crap and this is I was more focused on the performance because that's what you can control. That's what you can control. And it's like Lee Gunner said. He said it earlier. It's like VAR and Lee Mason don't decide what Arsenal do off the pitch, focusing on all this branding and crap instead of bringing in, you know, good players in the transfer window when you need to upgrade your squad as a whole. But yeah, blaming VAR for being stuck in traffic. I mean, like, no, it's just it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So. I don't know. People are just.
What they do in their life? I wonder what they do in their lives. Are they accountable? Because I'll tell you what, yeah, accountability isn't easy. And I know a lot of people.
Oh no, it's hard.
If you have the personality, yeah, of blaming others, and you'll never take accountability, and you'll never.
It's called being a narcissist. Straight up, it's called being a narcissist.
And I've got a few me. I know how they roll. I know how them narcissistic people roll. Oh, it's everybody else's fault. But the actual beauty on, even though sometimes it's hard to take accountability, you improve yourself. Yeah, you know, I've been failing in certain aspects of my life.
We all have. We're not perfect.
Exactly. And every time I'm able to be like, you know, put my pride aside and say, you know what, I could do better. You know what, I've failed there. I'm able to rectify it. But, you know, I have a family member that it's everybody else's fault, and that person actually never evolves. And then when their kids grow up, the kids start saying, actually, I've actually got a grown-up parent. You know what I mean? I've got a child parent, because that person has never actually grown up. That person always stopped at a level because they never can accept accountability. And with accountability, it's growth.
With accountability is maturity.
Exactly. But a lot of these lot don't know that, because a lot of these lot talking crap, all these super Arsenal fans, they're 16, 19, 18. They're not mature yet. What's embarrassing is when I see guys that are old enough to be my dad and have seen us be victorious and have seen us lift Premier Leagues, and then they're coming out with all that crap. It's like, are you? I don't even know. Anyway, go on, Jez.
Long hair.
I want to come to Kenny on this.
Yeah.
I want to come to Kenny. Kenny's. I always think you've got a very balanced approach on things. Pete says there's clearly an agenda against us. Okay, Kenny.
Here he is.
What? The question I want to ask you, Kenny. What do you actually forget about VAR? What do you think of the standard of refereeing that is now we see in English football? Because I'll give you my opinion, okay? When I was a referee, I refereed at a reasonable standard, obviously not to the level of the Premier League, but I did referee at county and in the Isthmian League back in the day, which is a decent standard.
Yeah,
it was a lot better, in my opinion, because we were told to adhere to the laws to the nth letter of the word. I don't see that anymore, Kenny. Give me your opinion, mate. You go a lot more to football than I do nowadays. So you see it firsthand.
Well, I think the problem that standard referee in this country hasn't been great. To the extent that you can name top referees on the top of your fingers, and even the referees you hate are actually the best referees. You know, believe it or not, something has to be wrong when Mike Dean, believe it or not, was actually the best referee. Graham Poll, but when you look at people like Clattenburg, Graham Poll, Mariner, Taylor, Webb.
Yeah.
The problem with the referees nowadays. So everyone wants to be like Clive Thomas, and what what I mean by Clive Thomas is that too many referees want to be the star now.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the main problem we have with the referee in this country is what's happening now. They've got agents, they've got profiles, they're on TV, and if you're an ex-referee, you're on Ref Watch. Now, nothing wrong with that, but the problem is that you can tell that the standards of refereeing in this country. How many big games have been given to English referees since Howard Webb got the Champions League final and got the World Cup final in 2010? That's when English refereeing was at its best. Now we're talking 13 years later, we're struggling. We're really struggling. And the fact is that, they're getting decisions wrong, even with VAR. So you've got poor referees on a system that should be working, where they're making even the base. I'm not talking about not drawing the lines, but even so, is that we're basically relying on the opinions of people who are not good at their jobs, and that's the problem. The standard of referee in this country is so bad, but the problem is it's not affecting Arsenal; it's affecting every team. You know what I mean? And that's the problem we've got, is that you go to any other country. In Italy, the standard refereeing is up there. In France, the standard refereeing is at the best. In Germany, and in Spain, they got high standard referees. Do you ever hear about VAR controversies in any of those countries.
No,
Spain, I would dispute, and to an extent, Serie A, but I think you're spot on with Bundesliga.
But if you think about it, we don't seem to have these VAR controversies because there is because not only is the VAR working, VAR only works when you've got top class referees operating it. Exactly. At the end of the day, the referees at Stotley Park are basically the same referees that will referee a game or be a full official at a game over sort of a footballing weekend, and they're not the best. It says a lot that the referee we choose to hate is probably one of the best referees, but we hate him because he loves to stardom. And you've got Mark Oliver. He's a great referee, but the problem is we're not back in 12, 13 years ago. Like, maybe I'm exaggerating. If we go back 20 years ago, there were loads of Mark Olivers. We had really decent referees, but the problem we've had is that we thought when they went professional that they were going to be better. But what's happened is they've gone professional and they've had higher profiles, but standards haven't improved. We bought VAR to help them out, but the problem is that poor referees mean poor refereeing decision of VAR. I mean, and that's the problem. We have to improve the standard of refereeing in this country in order for VAR to work. But I'll tell you one thing on another. It's not catastrophic, but it's getting to a concerning level where, we're seeing it every week now. There's a decision we'll be thinking, nah, not sure about that. It shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening.
Last week it was the Casemiro grabbing the thing. Yeah. That was the controversy last week.
And see what's happening. You're going to watch the Champions League in about an hour and a bit, and you're going to see, you're not going to notice the referee. You're not going to notice anything because
unless it's an English game.
But because the game's flowing. But when it's an English game, you're watching the referee. You know what I mean? You're watching his decisions. You're watching VAR. And I think what's happening right now is that VAR is going to be massive tomorrow when it shouldn't be the star. The star of the show should be Man City Arsenal. But it won't because everyone's going to watch Anthony Taylor. And that's another thing I want to, before you get someone else. Why you've got a situation where a guy from Manchester is refereeing Arsenal and Man City and has been refereeing the Manchester derbies and refereeing games involving Man City and Man United?
Exactly.
Is English refereeing that bad that a Manchester referee can referee games involving Manchester sides? That's where you get standards of when you know the standards of referees that poor, because to the extent that you can't get any neutrality now because the referees are so bad, you have to have Anthony Taylor and just forget the fact that he supports Man United. You know what I mean? It's just like a cricket where, they never used to have neutral umpires. So we're going to have the same English football refereeing where, because the referees are not up to standards, you're going to forsake the fact that they're based in the same postcode as the home or away team.
Kenny, I'm sorry.
That's all. That's it.
I want to come to Mr. B in a minute on this, but I'm just this is a good comment here. Ivan Tony.
Ivan Tony. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, man. As I say, we've got the big
Super Ivan Tony.
we've got the big traction from the professionals. I swear the officiating has got worse with VAR because before it was better because they had to be more on their toes, had no technology. Now, I'm just going to say here from somebody, I refereed for 20 years and worked my way up the ladder. And when you're out there and you've got two proper linesmen back in my time or referee assistants, you had that to make a decision. There were times when your linesman would give you a flag or call you over and you say this, that, something you hadn't seen as the referee, and you'd chat and make a decision. Now, I think the responsibility is being taken away from the man in the middle. They are reliant on that technology because if you watch football back that go back 10, 12 years, not even
Yeah.
that, go back 5 years, and you'd see the referee would ask his assistant to call on his quarter of the field, because the referee always runs a diagonal, and these two quarters are, you'd always say before a game to your two linos, anything you see in your quarter, give it. Anything I see in my two quarters, I'll give it. Any offsides, any infringements, you give it. And if I agree, we'll work on it and we'll go with it. You never, ever, ever see that now. Now, case in point, and I'm going to come to Mr. B on this one.
Okay, mate.
The disputed offside against the Ivan Toney goal. Yeah. Why did the linesman, who was in line, right, with that free kick, not put his flag up?
God knows, man. I ain't got a fucking clue, to be honest. It's madness, isn't it? I mean, you know, there could have been at least 2 or 3 probably offsides there in a way, you know. But I don't know. I just don't get it, Jez, to be honest. It is madness. I would say I would scrap VAR, to be totally honest with you, and go back to the way it was. And I would even scrap a lot of these new rules as well, like the offside rule for a start. That is bloody mad. So as far as I'm concerned, that is nuts. You know, the offside where they let it go, they let it carry on instead of just putting the flag up. You know, what the hell is all that about, man? I just haven't got a clue.
I think it causes more problems. North side.
Exactly.
North side. I think the standard of refereeing at the moment is poor. I think the fact that far too much is reliant now on the upstairs VAR, whereas
they're getting it wrong.
And they are getting it, you know, pretty much wrong. Whereas you remember back in your time, Northside, you've played football at some point in level, and you always knew that it was the referee and the linos that made the last call. I personally think Northside, it's got so complicated now that the referees and the linesmen, the responsibility has been taken out of their hands. Yeah. And they are absolutely panicking at times, especially in big games. I mean, tomorrow night is a massive, massive game for these two teams.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah.
So, Northside, what's your view, my friend?
For me, I just feel like they just need to be mic'd up. You know, at least get some. We need a little bit of we need some context behind some of the decisions. We're all guessing. They're thinking that linesman thought that, the referee thought that. If they're all mic'd up, we can understand what they saw, what each official saw, what's VAR saying, what is the communication. Because once we can get the communication, then we can get some context behind what are they getting wrong. And it's better for them as well. At the end of the day, I don't think it's like a witch hunt against referees. I think we just need to, it needs to be more transparent. Why is certain decisions given in some games and not in others? What are referees? I feel like a lot of the referees are scared to be called out. Well, if players are made accountable and have to speak after games, if managers have to speak after games, why can't referees? And I've seen this even from Mourinho saying, why don't referees have to be mic'd up? Or why don't they at least minimum come out after the game and explain a lot of the big decisions during the game?
Peter, get lost, man. Get lost.
You know, at the end of the day, even for VAR, the way they draw the lines, I think Ransom Bant's expressions, his brother, I think he put it perfectly. He said, why don't we get a camera, like a bird's eye view of the pitch? When you draw the line, you can't get it wrong. Because you're looking down on the pitch. There's no way you can draw. If you draw it wonky, you can see it's drawn wonky. You know what I mean? You can definitely see who's offside and who's not.
And there's definitely technology for that.
Well, from the bird's eye view, more than from the side, because from the side, they start bending the lines and there's so many angles you can do. But I think making the line from the bird's eye view would help, and also miking up all the officials like they do in rugby, and then we can understand everything. We can understand why some players get sent off at times when we don't know, we're not on the pitch. The players aren't mic'd up. You know, the manager, you know,
we can't hear nothing.
So many more things if there's actual context behind it, and just mute the commentators for a while. And as soon as the referee's making a decision, we can listen to what's being said. And then that way we can say, all right, cool. Well, in this game, the referee gave it because so-and-so, and that game, so-and-so. And it stops a lot of these debates because all they're doing is heat on the referees. Right. I'm sure refereeing isn't easy. You ain't got 120 eyes on you. You can't see everything. Yeah. Everyone is human. But we need some more explanation.
You need clarity. You need clarity, isn't it? Clarity.
Yeah, clarity,
yeah.
The trouble is, in rugby, in rugby union, rugby league, if you swear towards the referee, you're in the sin bin.
Yeah.
The amount of swearing that goes on in football is never mic them up. Now, if you look at Rule 14, foul and abusive language to a match official, an opponent, or a member of the crowd is instant red card. So if you think about it, 20 minutes into that game, the game would be abandoned because you'd have so many people sent off in the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, what?
Anyway, before we wrap this up, Steve, answer this question, man.
Well, I told Pete I watch more football one weekend than he does in a year. So I have 5 TV. I have freaking 3 TVs, 2 laptops. I watch football from England, Italy, Germany, wherever the hell you want. So I don't just understand the English side of football, the Italian, Spanish. I've watched Russian football before. I like Shakhtar Donetsk. I like Ukrainian football, I like Dutch football a lot. So I know a lot more about football than you, Pete. I'm pretty convinced about that. So I do also know about NFL.
Oh, by the way, Jez, Peter said he was going to come on, man, but he can't get any reception in his basement, apparently.
That we get that all the time, mate. We get that all the time.
And he's stuck to his seats anyway.
Northside's got to bounce. I'll just very quickly going to do a round robin on this one. I'm going to give you my match prediction tomorrow. Arsenal Man City. I'm going 1-1. I think it's going to be a ball draw, personally. I think it's going to be a situation of both teams are going to be quite cautious. And it's going to be one of them sort of FA Cup final type games in my book. But I would like to see Arteta mix it up tomorrow. I'd like him to start with Tierney. I'd like him to start with Trossard, get Martinelli on the bench, and you know we're going to have Nketiah up front. We know that. But Kenny, what's your view? You'll be there. What's your prediction, and what team would you like to see start?
Well, I think it's going to be a draw. I think what's happening is that I think we're going to try to avoid defeat at all costs because we still want to be psychologically. We want to be going to Villa and obviously the game on top of the table. So for me, a point psychologically would be a good point for Arsenal because that way we're still in front. And, we've avoided defeat. But I do think that we should be playing the team I want to be playing. I would like to Martinelli to come out of the team. I'd like to, Trossard to start. And I am giving serious considerations to Ben White being dropped as well and being Tomiyasu for his defensive quality. So my team will be Tomiyasu right back, Trossard at left back. And I am considering Kieran Tierney at left back instead of Zinchenko. So those are the 3 changes I'll be making.
What's up with this guy?
Bro, this is
the guy's brain dead, man. Seriously, he is just seriously weird.
He's just a hater, bro. That's all it is. He's just on his hate campaign. He is the toxic and negative person, by the way.
I think he's got mental health issues, but we'll go.
Definitely.
Yes, I made your channel by gaining you so much traction. I don't think you did, my friend.
I mean, he made that without you, Pete. He made that without you, mate.
A long time before. I think that was probably Kenny Ken, Lee Gunn, and Northside helped me build the channel, and Gracie-Mae and Warren's Teams Talk. You were never part of the game, man. So I allowed you to get your channel intro back. No, you didn't, because I got it back because it was never blocked.
What's with this boy, man? What is with him?
Get a life. Seriously, man. You've got some problems. Seriously. Northside, let's get your opinion, mate. Game tomorrow. Result. How are you seeing it going?
To be honest with you, Jess, I think he's going to just stick to what he's been doing. And I think we're going to lose 2-1. I think we're going to go with the same lineup. I don't think there's going to be any change from what we saw against Brentford. And I think we're going to lose 2-1. What I want is for us to set up, like Man United, 4-2-3-1, play counter-attacking football, hit them hard. And but I don't see us doing that. I don't see us reverting back to that. I don't think this manager has the tactical nous to do that. So unfortunately, mate, I don't think we're going to win tomorrow. I think we're going to leave ourselves open. And, I think we're going to get caught out on the break. And I think it's going to be 2-1 Man City. I actually predicted a win against Brentford, but there you go. So, yeah, not very confident.
No, okay, man. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Bee4Life.
Okay, mate.
Give me your prediction. How do you think it's going to go?
Right. Okay, Jez, before I give my prediction, can I just ask what the hell it is with this new rule of the third player getting booked when they go up to the referee? Does anyone know that?
No, I
understand it.
No.
And getting sent off. The guy that got sent off the other day, I thought that was totally nonsense.
Mario Lamina?
Yeah.
Player? Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, that's right, man. What the
Bro,
hell
we
is
don't
all
know
that
the rules, just like the refs don't. Because I don't even think the refs know the rules at some points. It's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. Anyway, back to the prediction of the game.
Yeah.
I actually think, well, Arsenal are doing a very good job at cocking it up at the moment, and I even think City will probably win. I'm going for a 2-1 City here.
Yeah. Okay.
They just really let it go. Arsenal just, I don't know what's happened, man. They're just regressing again, I'm afraid.
Oh well, mate, we haven't invested. We haven't got a striker. I saw somebody on the chat yesterday said, Nketiah's banging it. Well, he scored 4 Premier League goals. Beg your pardon.
Your defence is in trouble. Eddie in the room. Yeah, okay, whatever.
Steve,
what a nonsense that song is, man. What a nonsense.
Steve, give us your opinion, man. Give us your unbiased opinion, as you always do.
Unfortunately.
The judge in the room.
What?
I said the judge in the room, unbiased.
Yeah. To be fair, Mr. B is too. But
yeah, true. I am, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm gonna go 3-1 Man City with the way they're playing.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. I don't know. I think they got the result right before the game. What I see happening is I see Man City scoring first, then Man City will score, and you guys will push for the equalizer, but you'll commit too many forward, and Pep will make the right tactics to keep it at a 2-1 because the subs have been a bit questionable, and then he'll go at the same exact 11. He'll go at the same exact 11 in my opinion.
He won't change it up at all. He won't change it up.
That's the other problem. If you're playing Trossard, or if you try something new.
He's stubborn. I'll tell you.
Yeah, if you do Tomiyasu instead of Ben White or something, maybe I'll give him a chance. But I know he's just going to go with the same 11. It's going to be Ramsdale, Saliba, Ben White, Gabriel Magalhaes. It's going to be Zinchenko. It's going to be Tierney, Odegaard, or sorry, not Tierney. Xhaka, Odegaard, Partey, and then a front three of an out of form Martinelli, Saka, who's not been amazing of late, but still been decent, and then Nketiah. So I know we all know he's going to go with that lineup most likely. So
you should put Trossard in. Trossard should be playing instead of Martinelli.
Northside's got a bounce. Northside's got a bounce. So
see you, Northside.
Thanks,
See you,
man.
Okay, man.
Been, bro.
See you, Northside.
Before you go, everybody in the chat, if you haven't supported, subbed, go to Northside London.
Subscribe to him, man. Come on, everyone.
Top geezer. Love your reactions, and mate, thanks for coming on. Good to see you.
Anytime, man. Anytime, Jez. Anytime. Big up Be Together and Strasbourg, is it?
Strasbourg Steve, yeah.
Strasbourg Steve, nice to meet you. Kenny,
you too,
always a pleasure, man.
Always good to see you, mate.
Subscribe to your channel, man. I'm going to subscribe to you, mate.
Thanks.
I just did, yeah.
Take care, mate. Thanks for coming on.
Take care, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going 3-1 City.
Before we wrap it up, Kenny Ken, you're going to be there tomorrow night. Are you getting a buzz for it, Kenny? Are you getting the Arsenal buzz?
You know what it is, right? It's that I've probably been to so many games that I just treat this as another game because I'm thinking, I don't. I think maybe when I wake up in the morning, it get really, 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 really exciting. I'm ask me in the morning, I'll probably be really, really up for it. But I think, at the moment, I'm just like trying to temper me excitement, But yeah,
put the adrenaline in the bottle. Yeah.
No.
You think it'll be flat there, Kenny? You're going to be flat, mate?
I promise you, I'm going to be 100% really stressed.
Yeah.
Stress will start.
Do you think it'd be flat there, the atmosphere, or not? Or
no. See, that's a good question, B4Life.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something now. If you come to Emirates now, the atmosphere on the way to the Grand, I think they got these Ashburton Army guys who actually get an escort into the
I like that.
It'll get the local stabbery. But when you get into like the bowels of the stadium, 20 minutes before the game, there's fans are singing at the top of their lungs for the team, singing for everyone else. So I can categorically say right now that the atmosphere will be electric outside the ground and inside the stadium will be rocking. Because
what about if you get another defeat though? Will it still be the same if you lose again?
I think there'll be a few fans who'll probably concede the fact that with Man City, if they win, they go top of the table on goal difference. People would probably have one hand off the title, title, and probably would say, right, it's probably Man City's to lose, even though we've got a game in hand. They're going to be worried about Villa. So what's happening is we lose, then we're immediately under pressure against Villa. We have to do something because we have to win and hope Man City don't bet our result. Because, going to Everton game, we want to be, we want to be at least 2 or 3 points ahead. That way, if we win, then we're 5 points ahead and then we're in control and it's in our hands. But if Man City win and then we struggle against Villa, then again, the Everton game, we're immediately under pressure. And what will happen is that will play into, Dice's hands because, Dice will just think, right, that's my game plan now. What I did against Arsenal, a few weeks before, I'm going to do it again. But this time, I'm going to play a better forward than Sims. He was awful yesterday, wasn't he?
He was
Yeah.
I feel bad because he's just a kid too, so I do feel bad. He got kind of thrown into the fire. He was on loan at Sunderland too, so doing actually pretty well. I hate to admit, but you are.
They've got a lot else, Everton, have they? They got like Mopay and whatever, and he's just a wind-up man.
Yeah, they got Mopay, but they wouldn't play him because Mopay likes the ball on the floor. That's why they won't play him.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Steve, give your channel a shout out. See where can we find you, bro?
Yeah, You could find me on Strasbourg Steve and Newcastle Fans TV. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And then I'm on Tony Claude's channel. I'm on Football Terrace sometimes after games. I'm on your channel, obviously. I'm on a few different ones. I try to get myself out there. I love talking football at the end of the day. Even though Hayward,
Spitting facts, mate. Spitting facts. Yeah.
huh?
I said,
You're
really,
spitting facts,
I'm
mate.
a guest.
Yeah, I know. It's a surprising revelation, but yeah, no, that's where
Big
you.
up the Geordies. Come on, the Geordies. You know, I think they're going to get fourth
Mate,
this year.
I like having you on, Steve, because you talk in a totally unbiased way.
That's true.
I'm sure it won't be when we come to play you guys at
If you're in better form, I'll pick you to win straight up. That is how it is.
well,
Yeah,
going to St. James's Park, man. This at the moment,
Yeah.
I do feel confident. I do want to play you guys right now. If I am being honest here, if it was a time to play you, I would absolutely I would play you right now at home, and I think we wouldn't win though because we've been drawing, draw, 1-1, 0-0.
You're out of points, aren't you?
we'll see.
You're not losing, so.
What about when you play us as well? You got us soon as well, haven't you?
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Well, you know what I think? Newcastle
Yeah,
got one away, rightly so, on the League Cup final Sunday week. I think this is like the biggest game.
Yeah, can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I think you'll win that, the League Cup, anyway. I think you will.
I think it's both teams are under pressure.
Yeah.
Man United are under pressure, and Newcastle are under pressure. It
Yeah.
won't be an open game. I'll tell you that. It won't be open.
Mr. Bee4Life, who have you got this weekend?
Trying to think actually. Who the hell have we got? Oh God, man. I was just getting over that Arsenal one, mate. Not really thought about any other games.
Look it up.
I'll check with you. Let me check for you. I'll check for
Yeah,
you.
cheers, mate. Yeah, I should have done really. I should know.
Crystal
honest.
Palace Saturday.
Palace, that's it. Sorry, you're right there, man.
It's at Brentford. Brentford at
Yeah,
home.
that's really tough, actually. Yeah, tough one, Palace.
Is that away or home?
Home for Brentford.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take Brentford 2-0. Easy.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be easy. I think it'd be like 2-1, maybe.
2-1, yeah.
Well,
Palace is for
Crystal
me
Palace.
has been in form.
Crystal Palace are one of those teams that on their day they can win anywhere in the country, and I mean anywhere in the country.
Yeah? They held Brighton to a draw.
good team, you know. Good team.
Good
So
team,
if Sahar turns up, at least say whatever. I think it'd be tough, you know.
I love Eze.
I think they've won at every big club away from home, with the exception of Spurs. But you know they've had recent victories at the Emirates.
Palace.
They won at the Etihad, won at Anfield recently, and they've won at Old Trafford.
They held us
And,
to
you know,
3 0-0 draws this year. Carabao Cup and
Yeah.
Premier. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They
Anyway, Kenny Ken,
got a bit something.
you're there tomorrow night, man. You're looking forward to that.
Looking
It's going
forward to
to be intense, isn't it?
It is going to be tense. It's going to be tense as well. You know what? The fact is that, you know, I know this. I know I want to win every game, but really and truly, the onus is on Man City to grab the initiative for us. And the best way to psychologically grab the initiative is by winning tomorrow. They win tomorrow. That is a psychological blow to us. I don't care what anyone says. It's a blow. And the thing is that they're an angry team because they think the whole world's against them. What happens to them has galvanised them, galvanised the manager, and galvanised the players and their fans. It's like siege mentality. So this, you know, they were actually like complacent, you know, like I said, lethargic. But this has put fire in their bellies. Thanks, Premier League. Thanks to them.
Absolutely. And we're going to call it a day, people. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the likes and all that business and everything. Tonight,
Thanks for having me on again, Chris. Thanks, mate, for letting me on again.
guys. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Kenny.
No, thank you.
Where can we
Thanks for
find
having me
you?
on.
Shout yourself out. Where can we find you?
Who? Me?
Kenny Ken. Yeah, Kenny Ken.
Kenny.
You can find me on Instagram at KennyKen1972.
Yeah, top man. Mr. Bee4Life, where can we find you, my friend?
Mainly Insta. Mr B. Sorry, I was going to say I put the wrong name there. It's Bees Fan Forever. Sorry, I've got a different name on it. Bees Fan Forever on Insta.
Nice one, man. Thanks for coming on, bro. And we're going to do the outro. Call it a day. Come on, Arsenal. We've got to do it tomorrow, man. We got to do this because I'm getting a bit worried, guys. Seriously.
I'm relieved to hear that you've been to some far places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I had seen such riches, I could